That is a really good question.
Yeah, like, I guess on like a more broad scale, like I know the town was real small, but like, I assume that means you like knew more people around there. So how did like the people in Victoria feel about it, like about the war?
Well, there wasn't but about 20 voting people in Victoria, so it wasn't very big. I don't really know. This much I know. A few of them, what they call hid them behind a farm, or hid them behind a dairy, their son. In other words, they didn't want their son to go, so they'd get him a deferment because he helped with the milking and helped with farming and stuff like that. I know quite a few of them didn't go. I know some in Collierville didn't go, several. And I'm not talking about it, I'm just stating a fact.
Yes, sir.
But the rest of them, I guess they just took it part of their duty.
So after the war, you said that you had a job at the service station and you left for a girl. Did that become your wife, or like? So
it did.
Like, did y'all build like a family and everything?
Oh yeah, I have once. Well, my baby girl, she's having a birthday today. She's 58, and she's been worked in the bank. Well, in mortgage. She's been in mortgage around here for a long time. She works in Memphis now, but she worked at Bank Tennessee at one time. She worked at Patriot Bank for a good while. She's, as I said, she'll be 58. My oldest son is 67. He was in Vietnam. He was wounded in Vietnam, but he's all right. And then Kenny, my middle child, is 60. He'll be 63 right away. He's an outside estimator on wrecked automobiles and stuff like that. He lives with me. My wife passed away years ago.
Good. So, when you were in the war, did you send letters or like keep communication with your grandmother and parents?
Oh yes, and got a lot of some cousins wrote me, and my mother had a brother who was in the Navy, stationed out in. He'd been in the war, but he was back in California then, and he wrote me just quite often. Well, when he's out on the ocean, when it was during combat, he wrote me once and said the letters I wrote to him, he put it up on the bulletin board and had his guys read it. Of course, I was telling him, I was happy and so on, and he wanted them to read it, see if he could poop them up.
So, I guess we can sort of end with this. How did being in the war and experiencing that affect your life afterwards, and like, did it teach you
Make me a better person.
To be a better person.
I came up hard. All of us were poor. My mother chopped cotton. She scrubbed floors. But I had it better than a lot of people did. We were poor, and then there's people poorer. So, but we were down toward the bottom. My grandmother made it. She finally rented the farm and got me graduated. And the only way I had any money was chop wood or just anything I could do. I'd work anywhere for anything. And I guess, well, I had a horse. I could ride the horse, and I'd come home from school, and that's the first thing I'd do, get on my horse and ride it. I enjoyed the farm, I really did. We had a place to go swimming, a river, a creek down below where we lived. We'd go swimming. And go hunting was one of my buddies. I had a good life. I really did. Even though we didn't have anything, nobody else had anything either.
Yes, sir.
But you were coming of age during the Great Depression.
Yes, ma'am.
So
I remember that.
Right, because it didn't really turn around, I think, until we got heavily involved in the war. More like 1941, 42.
That's right.
Right? Am I
right?
Right? In your situation
well,
too?
in the 30s, we had big fireplaces. Well, we had several in the house, but one big one back in the bedroom. My granddaddy dropped a nickel in it. He took all the ashes out in the backyard and poured them out and scratched and found that nickel.
That was worth quite a bit.
Oh, sure, you could buy a loaf of bread for a penny.
Yeah. But when you were living on a farm, you can produce your own food.
Oh, yes. My grandmother bought what they call a stand of lard. It was a big thing of lard. Well, lard wasn't that big. It was about so, whatever they called the flour, it was about so big. And she only sent me to the store. I took corn up there, pulled corn and carried it up to the store, and they ground made meal. And they took half, they cut it up on the half, so I went home with a sack of meal. The only time she bought anything to speak of, my aunt, my daddy's sister, married a Methodist minister, and when the preacher came, she bought a loaf of bread. My sister said that bread got hard as a rock when she saved it as long as she could. But anyway, we lived off of it. I mean, we ate good. When I went to school, I carried country ham sandwiches, and the other guys had bologna. And that story they tell on the TV used to, about swapping for bologna. Well, that's exactly what I did. I swapped country ham for a piece of bologna, because grandma didn't buy no bologna.
Because I was curious, you were not mentioning the Depression, but I understand when you were living off the farm, it didn't affect you the same way as when you lived in the city.
Daddy worked, he was a carpenter, and he worked out public work. And he they ate off of that stuff. Now, Mother made a garden, and after Daddy left us, she really had to get my brother and sister to help him and raise a garden, but still had to get stuff for the store. But Daddy, as long as he was there, he'd bring stuff home and make sandwiches with. I remember Mother used to making bologna sandwiches and take to work.
Did you serve with other men from Collierville?
No, ma'am. The only person I met, and he wound up living out here on 72. He lost a son in the Vietnam War. Howard, I can't think of his name. He lived right outside of Holly Springs. From the time I got to Camp Sylvia, I did not see a soul that I knew. And I'd been over all that time, and when we came to Camp Lucky Strike, ready to get on the boat to come home. And I heard this guy talking. We all had our bags stacked there waiting. And I heard this guy talking, and I said, nobody in the world will talk like he does. And I went up there, and he was the guy that I used to run around with. It was him. He'd been over there all that time. And my sister's husband was over there at the same time. And he was very close to where I was. But he didn't know it, and I didn't know it. We never saw each other.
So as the war was getting closer to the end in Europe, you started in France, did you? And you were on the ground, so did you move into Germany?
We went through France, we went into Germany. We had a truck, and sometimes I drove it, and sometimes I worked in the back. You just did whatever they told you to do. Had a big reel of telephone wires, 2 wires. And you walked behind the truck and you threw it off in the grass or whatever. And then if you need to put it on the other side, you had to climb a tree and fasten it, and then go over on the other side and climb a tree and pull it over. And overhead is what they called it.
Was that for communication?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. That's what we kept the communications going. Now we weren't up there where everybody's shooting at everybody all day. We got strafed a little bit. Saw bombing, but it didn't affect us. We knew it was going on. We saw Hitler was having to use horses to pull his cannons with. We saw just a world of dead horses. saw worlds of dead Germans stacked up. But our boys, we good about, not I say we, the medics or whoever, but our boys, if they got wounded or killed, they got them right quick. Didn't leave ours out.
Yeah.
But the Germans were everywhere.
Oh, really? Well, they were on the underside by that time.
Oh yes,
Today.
they were gone.
So, where were you when the war ended?
Salzburg, Austria.
So, when you left the war, what rank in the Army were you?
Corporal. Back then a corporal was pretty good rating, and today corporal nothing. You can get a rank quick now. I joined the reserve, the Air Force Reserve, when I got to Collierville. I buddied up with some guys, and I was inspecting a motor vehicle squadron, and it was about my time to get out. And they, oh man, we give you whatever kind of rank you want if you just stay. I don't want to. Yeah, I was corporal. I didn't care. You know, we wasn't making much money. I made an allotment from my mother. Of course, we no way to spend it. Then after I had to stay over there after the war ended for a long time, because you had to have so many points, and I didn't have a lot. I had 30-something, 36.
What do you mean points?
For being over there.
Before they let you come home?
Some of them had said, well, some of the guys I've joined had been in Italy, I don't know where all long. They've been through the war. I hadn't. That's why I say I'm nowhere close to a hero. These guys had been in the bad part of it, really bad. And they got a lot of points, so they got to come home. But when I got to come home, couldn't come home, they said, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to drive a big truck. So they sent me to Linz, Austria, right on the Danube. And they gave me an 18-wheeler. I never had even sit in one. But I got to be the job I loved. I got to go all over, now this is after the war. I got to go all over the country. They sent me, one of the first places they sent me was Leghorn, Italy, to get some road roofing. They were,
Pretty country.
oh, beautiful, beautiful. Austria's beautiful. And with snow on the ground, it's more beautiful. And when it snowed, it just snowed some more, and then it snowed again, snowed some more.
So how many places did that job take you?
Well, I went back into France and picked up medical supplies and stuff like that. We carried some displaced persons, took them back to, I think it was Romania, I don't know, it was some country. Made a lot of trips to Italy, picking up stuff. And went back into France and Germany, several trips.
Those roads are not easy to drive on.
Oh, well, the Autobahn.
I mean in Austria.
Oh, in Austria? Oh, yes, yeah. The way it was to me. Now, you got up in the mountains, with that truck, it'd give you a pretty good ride. If your air brakes got low. But it was so pretty. I got to go a lot of places. Went up in the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And went to the, what was it? Getting old and forgetful. The big thing that they about blew it away.
Oh, in the mountains?
No, in Italy.
No.
In the Rome.
Yeah.
Colosseum.
Colosseum?
The Colosseum?
I saw that.
Yeah.
Spent the night in Rome. This little boy, he was really Italian, but he's American. And we got a furlough, and we just toured the country. We rode in a truck some, we flew in a little airplane some, we just had a good time in Rome. We spent, I guess, a day there, a day and a night. It was something to see.
You know, your generation, coming back from World War II, was treated quite differently from like your son's generation coming back from
Completely,
Vietnam.
completely. Oh, when my son came back and the boys from Vietnam, they were spat on, they were ridiculed, and I don't know how we got into it. Yes, I had a lawyer, but it was new people down there. But they had a thing on one of the TVs, and they wanted a World War II, and a Korean, and a Vietnam. I guess that's about all back then. This was a long time ago. My son got to go, so he got to tell his story about how the people treated him when he came back.
Because you got a GI Bill, you got...
Oh, yeah. People would come out to shake your hand, holler at you, and stuff like that. You know, I'm glad you're back. Not the way it was with them.
Well, I'm glad that you are giving, submitting some of your memories, because many times people who were not in the heat of the military action don't think that they are as important, but I disagree.
Mm-hmm.
So, because if it wouldn't be for you laying the cable and doing all the other things,
right,
then the war would look very different.
Yeah. If I'd been on the front lines, it looked a whole lot different.
Yes, but everybody was important.
Well, the cooks were important.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't care what he's doing.
Yeah.
Every man was important. He did his job. And some of them they hated being there, and all they wanted to do is go home. I was single and young and having a good time. Had a lot of good, pretty girls over there. I'll tell you a quick story about something that happened. When this girl I was courting, we got married, and right after I'd come to Collierville. We had a hard time too, really a hard time. But anyway, she passed away about 5 years, going on 6 years ago. And a lady here in town's husband passed away about the same time. And she had met at the grotto, it's part of the shrine, and they have a dance and a dinner dance and stuff like that down there. And I knew this lady lives at Piperton. I've known she and her husband forever. She said, "Does the lady want you to call her down at the grotto?" I said, "I'm only about down there. I don't even know where it is." So this drug on for a couple of months, I guess, and I said, "Well, get her phone number." So one day she said, "She wants you to call her?" I said, "Well, did you get it?" "No." I said, "Well, where was she born?" She said, "Bahia." And about 30 seconds, I said, "One Deckles." She said, "That's who it is." Now, all the girls I knew in Bahia, she stuck out. So I called her and we got